They lost to the Colts. I know. Colts only have 2 losses. No, 3 losses. I think. 2. Not too bad. All right. So no current events this week just because we only have 2.5 days. So no current events for this week. Today I just want to talk about the Selective Service Act. And then I want to get into propaganda activity. So I think you guys will enjoy that. I'm just going to put up pieces of propaganda. You analyze it. You just write down on a couple questions that I pull up for the activity. And then that's it. And that should be the rest of the day. So tomorrow I think I'm going to assign a battles project, similar to what we did in Spanish-American War. It's not going to be due, obviously, Wednesday. So maybe next week sometime we'll do the presentations on those battle projects. But I'll let you know closer to the date. Sound good? I just want to I want to just send it out to you guys so you can work on it over the break, whatever you want to do. Maybe you won't even look at it. Who knows? But I'll just give you the opportunity to do that. So that won't be as much of a burden, I guess you could say, for next week. Angel, what's up? Oh, okay. All right, bell ringer. Here we go. So we left off talking about the Zimmerman note, Zimmerman telegram. So describe the significance of the Zimmerman telegram or the advantage of this plan for Germany and Mexico. There you have it.
I made sure I left my practice in my locker.
Oh, did you? Good, good. Surprised you didn't throw it in the trash.
No one's got all in there.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like,
Who's got to keep my stuff?
I don't know who would have done that.
Other than him.
That's true. I even looked at him. I said, the locker room was closed all day today. I locked it up. Well, I should have had a lock on.
There was more than just me that didn't have a lock on it. They just let stuff through it.
I think so.
think he did come out with some. It's like it's suspended for the next. I'm gonna get a little loxy next time. He's gonna get around.
Okay, here we go. So describe the significance of the Zimmerman telegram. What was it? What was this telegram all about? Who was it between? Obviously, you should know that. It says it up on the board. So who was the Zimmerman telegram about? Who was it between? Chris, go ahead.
Germany didn't want the U.S. involved in the war, since they're most likely to join Great Britain. Germany knew this would result in them being outmatched, and Germany tried out to send out a message to Mexico saying that if they fought the U.S. with them, they could reclaim Arizona, California, New Mexico, Texas.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, eventually Germany wanted other states to keep the U.S. shacked them off. Germany fought the war.
Awesome, good job. Yeah, so the war in Europe obviously happening with Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire, France, Great Britain, Russia, okay? And we're going to talk about this here soon, but Russia would leave in 1917. And Germany, because of unrestricted submarine warfare, right, because of the destruction of Lusitania, were painted as the I guess you could say the enemies in the war. Okay, the United States saw Germany as this threat because they're destroying cargo ships, killing innocent lives as they're crossing the Atlantic Ocean, right? So to try to keep the United States out of this war in Europe, Germany came up with this idea, this telegram, right? Reaching out to Mexico, saying if Mexico, you attack the United States, this would prevent the U.S. from ever entering the war in Europe. Does that make sense, guys, right? So as we see it, Mexico, if they go to war with the United States in the Western Hemisphere here, this would prevent the United States from entering a war in Europe, okay? And it was a good idea, right? It was a good idea. It was a plan to try to keep the United States away from Europe because Germany knew that if the United States would join, this would cause a lot of issues and really just sway the sides, okay? This would be the end of Germany, really, if the United States would join. And then what were the I guess you could say the advantages then? What were the key takeaways? What was Mexico granted if they would follow this Zimmerman telegram? What were they granted? What were they going to be given? Colin, go ahead.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas, right?
Arizona.
New Mexico. Yeah, and parts of California too. So this is the land that was taken by, right, the United States with the Mexican-American War. And Germany knew that, well, if they prevent the U.S. from entering the war, once we defeat the Allied powers here in Europe, we can eventually help Mexico out in this war. And once we defeat America, okay, Mexico would be granted this land here, right at the border, and Germany would just take the rest of the United States. That was the plan. That was the idea. Okay, what's up, Kevin? What's up?
Are they really going to give them that?
Probably not. I mean, Germany would probably just take the rest of it. But, I mean, that was their plan to try to keep the U.S. out of the war in Europe. That was number one for Germany. Okay, we need to try to prevent the United States from joining this war in Europe. Okay. After that, I guess they'd figure out what was going to happen. Okay. But what were some issues with this then? What were some issues? Why was this plan maybe made up in a way? Chris?
Have a lot of warfare lined up.
Yeah. So Great Britain was considered still the strongest naval power, right? Okay. And if Germany would try to send troops across the Atlantic Ocean in these ships, they'd probably be destroyed by Great Britain. Okay, Great Britain still controlled the seas. Although Germany had U-boats and submarines that caused a lot of damage, could you really carry thousands of troops in a submarine? No, right? You just can't do that. It just won't happen. It's not possible. So maybe this attack might have probably not happened because Great Britain still controlled the seas and they would prevent any type of mass transportation of troops and supplies and soldiers by Germany across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, it won't happen. All right, it probably won't happen. What else? Why else was it maybe an issue? Or maybe something that maybe have been made up? Melissa?
Great Britain controlled all communication everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So all the communication came through Great Britain, right? You remember the code breakers. Okay, they broke this code, the Zimmerman note, the Zimmerman telegram, and appealed to the United States saying, hey, Germany's an enemy of you. Not only did they destroy and kill innocent people with the sinking of Lusitania, but now they're planning an attack, right? They're planning a plan for Mexico to attack the United States, right? To attack you. So they're trying to appeal the U.S. to join the war. And this was the last straw, right? Okay, this is the last straw. Finally, after the Zimmerman telegram, the United States joins the war on the side of the Allied powers. So yeah, it worked. Okay, were there a lot of, I guess, pitfalls to this plan? Yeah. Was it true? Who knows, right? But would the United States be where they're at today without the Zimmerman telegram, Zimmerman note? Probably not. Okay, probably not. And this was a huge decision, especially for President Wilson, right? Okay, so he's sitting there. We want to try to stay out of these foreign conflicts, these foreign issues. Okay, it's the goal for the United States to do that. But after constant badgering from Great Britain, after the sinking of Lusitania, after the Zimmerman telegram, enough's enough. Finally, the United States joins on the side of the Allied powers. All right, is there any questions? You guys good? All right. Moving on here. Okay, so I just want to go over the Selective Service Act real quick. Got a short video, and then we'll start the propaganda activity. Okay. All right, so at home during the war. Okay, so the United States, obviously, what was their military like, their land military? They didn't have any type of participation just yet. They're limited to about 200, 300,000 troops. Okay, they didn't really have a huge military, land military, like what Germany had, France, all these other European powers. They were far behind. Okay, they weren't prepared for this type of war just yet. So to try to build participation, to try to build a strong military, Woodrow Wilson decided, well, I guess we can have a draft. Okay, we can try to draft people that are of age, that are men, into the military to fight for the United States in this war. Okay, because the U.S. wasn't prepared, right? They didn't have the forms of technology, weaponry that these European countries had. They never fought trench warfare before. They never were experienced in this type of war. So in order to try to build this, I guess you could say, hype, right, for this war, the U.S. had to have a draft to get people involved. And this is where we see the Selective Service Act being created. So force men to fight, military draft, 2.8 million men were drafted during the war. So you guys talked about the Civil War, right, with Mr. Henninger, right? Kind of? Sort of? All right, so with the Civil War, there actually was a draft for that as well. How do you think that went for the American citizens, specifically in the North? How do you think that went? So the government's saying, hey, you're going to join this draft. You can buy out, you can do a buyout, which was a couple bucks. It was like probably around 200, 300 bucks. At the time, a lot of money. So if you wanted to, you could buy yourself out of this. You have to just pay it up to the government. If not, you're going to join the army. You're going to join the Union Army and fight in the Civil War. But there's many people that couldn't afford that, so they thought this was a takeaway of their freedoms. And there was a time period in the Civil War, they're called draft riots. Okay, so all throughout the United States, specifically in New York City, many citizens went around and destroyed the whole city, burned down different types of small businesses, political buildings. It came to a point where this draft riot turned into riots amongst different types of immigrant groups. So it was just really a huge war within cities because of these drafts. And a lot of people thought the government was acting out of their control, that they're too strong, that they're too powerful, forcing people to join the military when, you're right, this war's in Europe. Why are we getting involved? Why do we need to just join the military? There's no reason for that. We're in America, right? We're America. Freedom, come on. So with that, President Wilson didn't want the same issues to arise. Okay, he didn't want any type of riots in these bigger cities because the government's forcing these people, 18 to 45 years old, okay, just males, to join the war. So he wanted to try to prevent that, so he just rephrased it. He isn't going to call it a draft. He's going to call it a Selective Service Act. Did it work? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, some people still had issues over it, but this just shows that many Americans were put into military service by the government. Okay, now there's a lot of court cases of people trying to refuse the draft, and again, the government, if you try to refuse this draft, you get put in jail. Okay, or you pay a heavy, heavy fine. There's many times and instances of draft dodging. Okay, and throughout history that happened. So a total of 4.8 million American men fought in World War I. Okay, 18 to 25 must sign up to the draft today. So right when you turn 18, you have to join and sign up for this draft. If you don't, there's going to be a lot of repercussions with that. Okay, but again, try to build participation up. We need the manpower. Okay, United States at the time, very low military status, didn't have a lot of men involved. Weaponry technology not there at all. Okay, the Navy was okay, but land military not so much. I'm sure you guys seen this before. So draft registration. Okay, we see Uncle Sam, right? I want you to join the United States military. This is where we see the Uncle Sam political poster being created. Okay, and how the United States is trying to build participation up for this war. And for many Americans, they wanted this. Okay, they never knew what war was like, right? The Spanish-American War, there's really not that many people died in actual combat, right, Kevin? Yeah, you better be paying attention back there. So about like 300 people died in combat. So really, many Americans thought war was almost like a game. Okay, they never really experienced it before. The people in the Civil War, yeah, there might have been some people around, but for the most part, war was new to people. They never really understand the effects of it, how it could cause many issues and problems, okay, to people after, war with psychological issues, shell shock, right, PTSD, you name it. And they didn't experience the war like they did in Europe. Okay, Spanish-American War, not so much of a brutal war, but more with sickness, disease, okay, which we'll talk about here when the United States gets involved in World War I. But again, a lot of hype for it. People were involved. They wanted to try to get involved in the war. Okay, not all people, but they're excited, especially young men. Let's get out there and play cowboys and Indians, right? I don't know. I'm sure you guys as little kids always play war games, right? Shooting Nerf guns and going around with your Red Ryder BB guns. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah, you play Call of Duty all the time, Cody. Yeah, war games, right? Trying to promote war, see how cool it is. It's macho, right? This is stuff you want to do. Show you that you're a man. Okay. Yeah, you guess so, right? You guess so. But in World War I, you didn't have pictures. You didn't have, you had some sort of pictures, but you didn't have like media showing the effects of warfare. I'm sure everybody's seen Saving Private Ryan, right? Okay, it just shows the impact of war, what it's really like. Okay, and obviously not many people want to be involved in that type of fighting. So in World War I, they didn't really have that. Okay, they just thought war was almost like a game. So many Americans, especially younger men, wanted to get involved, and we're really trying to get into this war. Okay, and we'll talk about some of these other issues arising to try to keep people loyal to their country in America. There's some acts created to try to prevent any type of uprisings, seditious talk against the government, which many people think it's against their freedom of speech. right? They're constitutional rights, which we'll talk about more on tomorrow. Okay, so let's play this video quick, and then we'll get working on the propaganda activity. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording. I'll record then later.